Hey, welcome back to No Hype Beer Reviews. Unless it's your first time, then welcome. Please consider subscribing. If you do, hit the notification bell, get all the updates. Let's start for today's video. So it's a Fidens beer, and this is cool because it is the first of like a new series, fruited sour beers from them. So this is called Blending Dreams. So it sounds like that's going to be like the name of the series, and then they'll change out the fruit. I almost said hops. So yeah, fruited sour, raspberry, vanilla, pink, guava. Let's see, it is I think 5%. Yeah, 5% ABV, and it is 2 days old as of canning date and review date. Raspberry, vanilla, pink guava. If I forgot to hold it up, I like the artwork there. I don't know. Let's get into it. I don't know. I got nothing else to say. What do you want from me? I haven't had the beer yet. It's the right way. Ooh, I can smell a little bit of tart raspberry already, so that's a good sign. I mean, beautiful color for, what's in it. It, makes perfect sense. It's kind of like a pinkish, little bit of red, a little bit of almost orange in there. The head, not surprisingly, looks like you started with white and then added a little bit of pink to it. Yeah, looks beautiful. Let's get into the aroma. Man, yeah, I really like the raspberry note in this. It's a little jammy, and then you kind of get where it's going to be, potentially, like a little sour, a little tart, maybe even a little acidic, right? And then there's just enough of that vanilla to cut through. And for me, that's when it gets a little tropical, which makes sense with the guava. So I spent a lot of time talking about raspberry dominant, like being the more dominant thing. Talking about that right when I first opened it and poured it, when I stuck my nose into it. But that second proper whiff of it, the guava must have heard me and was like, nah, I'm not hearing that. And much more guava. Also, a little bit of like and maybe, I don't know, it's interesting. Maybe the way the vanilla's playing with it. But anyway, kind of reminds me of like, I don't know if I've ever actually had this, but like guava gum. Like makes me kind of think of like that watermelon gum back in the day, but like a guava version of that. So it's like real guava-y, like actual guava fruit, and then there's also this like element of, like confectionery guava. You know what has a little bit too is like Twizzler, which is cool. My mind is going confectionery. I don't know. Let's see about the taste. Cheers. Good level of tartness. Really good level. Man. I'm going back and forth on the fruit in terms of like if one's dominating more than the other. I'll say this. When I saw the pairing, raspberry and guava, like I don't associate those together. Right? Like or maybe I shouldn't say right, maybe I'm the only person who doesn't, but like the berry thing, the obviously tropical fruit thing. So I was super curious how they would play together really well. So kudos to that. It's also a really tasty beer. Let me just, anyone who's like, like, this is suspenseful. What do you think of it? This is really tasty. But yeah, I think that was the thing that drew me the most to it was how are these two fruits going to play together? I can see the vanilla, I mean, especially with raspberry playing well. The guava, I probably had vanilla and guava never together, or at least I can think of. In some ways, the raspberry and the guava stand out on their own, but in some ways they like are like interwoven, and it's like where does one stop and the other begin, which is really cool. I didn't anticipate that. I kind of figured it'd be really obvious pops of both, not any sort of like interwovenness. Not a ton of vanilla. I know the vanilla police. But I think the vanilla, interestingly, is like as I'm talking, I get the whisper of vanilla. The vanilla I've never brewed beer before. One time, but that was a whole other story. It was one of those cheapo kits. But anyway, so I'm not an expert, is my point. Never claimed to be an expert. I'm just a guy who likes to drink beer and talk about it. I'm assuming the vanilla is to help with a little bit of that, like, the acidity, the sourness, the tartness, rounding out some of the fruit flavors, and I think it does a good job of that. But I wouldn't say it's like marshmallowy vanilla. Yeah, that level of tart, that's kind of my sweet spot. Because it's although I mean I do like to and sour as well. I do like the puckering thing, in like sour gummies or whatever. I do really like that, and then you get hit with a sweetness. This is not that intense, but for beer, it's probably my sweet spot. Even though I do like those gummies, they're a little more intense. I mean, unmistakably, you get the adjuncts, but again, lesser with the vanilla. But the fruited adjunct, the fruit part of the adjuncts, for sure. Like there's no like guessing, that there's fruit in this beer, even besides looking at it. The 5% makes sense. There's just enough of this doughy, like how the malt comes forward in these beers for me. Not from this brewery since this is their first one, obviously, but like that Berliner Weiss style is when I do get the malt, it's doughy. And for whatever reason, I really like that. I think part of it is, again, not to talk like confectionery, but like the baked goods kind of thing. Like, okay, get a little bit of dough, and then you get the fruits, a little bit of vanilla. This sounds like a nice tart or pastry of some kind. So like it does, I think, because of the culinary thing, makes me make this make sense. Did I say that correctly? Seems like a lot of makes in there. I don't think I have anything else to say. This is super refreshing. This series on a hot day outside, yeah, I'm all over that. Have you guys had this before? Have you had this raspberry guava pairing ever? Or vanilla and guava ever? Have you had this beer specifically? Have you had other beers in this style? Anything, everything, comment section below. Let's get a conversation going. Once you're done doing that, make sure you check me out on Instagram and Untapped. It's No Hype Beer Reviews at both those places. So please like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, imbibe. Cheers, everyone.